Welcome back. So at this point, you should all be familiar with how to do keyword searches, author searches, and title searches in the advanced search setup in this database. Well, tonight, I'm going to go over some other features in the advanced search which can help you narrow your search results down to the most relevant results. And I'm going to discuss these. It's called setting limits. And so is there anyone here tonight who is already familiar with using limiters in their search or is even currently using them? Okay, that's good. For those of you who don't know, setting limits are, well, let's just take a look at the box here. The ones I'm going to talk about tonight are full text, scholarly peer-reviewed journals, and the published date from, or as I'm going to refer to it, the date range. Now, before we get started, you can all feel free, since you have computers, to follow along. If you navigate to the database, follow along. Or you hopefully will have a handout by now that I provided that has a screenshot with notes related to all the salient points that I'm going to talk about in tonight's session. Okay? So, if you go to the handout, which I grabbed the bottom part of the handout from Tarleton University Libraries, which the citation is on there, you can find later. But it's, as it says, a refined search using previously discussed modifications is all that is needed to retrieve adequate search results. However, sometimes more restrictions are needed, which is where search limiters come into play. If offered, each online search tool offers its own set of limiters, which are usually activated by using checkboxes or pull-down menus. And the ones I'm going to talk about tonight all use checkboxes. Now, because you're in nursing school, it's possible that you're going to be asked to do research papers on, medical topics. So let's just do a general search for something like pancreatic cancer and see what happens. So I'm going to type pancreatic cancer. This is basic keyword search, and hit the search and look at what happens. We come up with 1,355 results. Now, that's quite a large number of results to wade through, and I want you to make note that this number of results includes all the results that the keyword hit. So results that include full text, results that don't have full text, maybe just provide a citation and an abstract. The results are from any available source, whether it's scholarly or not, and also from any date between 1965 and 2011. So when you're doing your research, you might want to be able to start narrowing it down a little. And the first thing that might come to mind is that you only want results with full text, because most people generally want to have access to the entire article because it's just easier to get more information when you can read the whole thing. It's also a little easier than getting a citation and then having to do another step to find the article, maybe even in a print holding. So the first thing we're going to look at is I'm going to go back to our search box and I'm going to click this full text right here, this checkbox. Now, scroll down, and I'm going to hit search, but remember to hit the search button at the bottom of the box, because that way it tells the search to be sure and include that limit. So you've limited your results to full text, and look at what you get. 874. So that's about 500 less than what we had the first time, which is good, but that's still quite a bit of results to wade through. Now, at this point, if you are following along, or just take a look, if you scroll down, like this first one says HTML full text, this one says PDF full text, and if you continue to go through the results, you might find that some offer one, some offer the other, or some offer both HTML and PDF versions of full text. Now, either one will allow you to read it, but HTML generally you just read on the screen, and PDFs are a little easier to download. But I'm going to talk more on that later. Right now, getting back to our results of 874 full text results, still have to remember that this includes results from all different types of sources, whether they're scholarly or not, popular magazines. And when you're doing a research paper, and in general, you want to cite the most credible sources that you can. Now, one way to do that is to make sure it comes from a scholarly journal or a peer-reviewed journal. A peer-reviewed journal is a journal that has a team of experts who review the articles that are submitted before it's published, just to make sure that it is in fact credible. Okay? So, we're going to go back again. We're going to make sure our full text box is checked, and this time we're going to also check the scholarly peer-reviewed journals box. Hit the search, and okay, we brought it down about 100 more. So now we have 777 results. So now you know that out of those all 777 are full text, you'll be able to read the entire article, and that they're all from scholarly or peer-reviewed journal, which means they're probably credible and adequate to be cited in your paper. Okay. Still a lot of results, and you might want to think, I need to narrow this down a little bit more. Well, let's say your assignment that your professor says that he only wants you to use articles that were published within the last year, which makes sense because another factor that you want to try to think about when you're citing sources is that you want the sources to be not just credible but current. And especially in the medical field, you're probably going to want to be looking at, the most recent information. So, what we're going to do is use the limiter that is for setting a date range. But instead of going back to our search box, I want to point out the sidebar, because this database, which is an EBSCO database, provides sort of a shortcut to the limiters on the side. So here, you can set any date. So let's set this, click in here. I don't want cover story, but I'm going to set this to 2010, okay? We update that, and now you have 82 results. So now you have 82 results that you know are from credible sources. You have the full text, and they're from the past year, so they're very current. So you can feel good about citing any of these sources in your paper. Now, the very last thing I wanted to say is, if you think you want to download the results, HTML full text is a little more difficult to download. So, what you want to do is unclick this one and click this, PDF full text. Because then, it will only return results in PDF format, which are easily downloaded. So, just to review, we should all now understand the concept of how to set a limit for scholarly or peer-reviewed journals, PDF, full text, or just in general full text, and also how to set a date range. Are there any questions?